Good Thursday morning and welcome to Korea Today, brought to you live from Seoul.
President Park Geun-hye and the ASEAN leaders agree to set up security talks starting early next year, further strengthening ties involving political and security affairs.
North Korea's First Lady Lee Seol-ju is back in the media for the public's eyes. Details coming up in the headlines.
And the U.S. Federal Reserve has a new incoming chairwoman. We'll tell you who she is on In Print.
Also on Korea Today, President Park Geun-hye continues on with her sales diplomacy in Southeast Asia. What has she achieved so far and what's ahead? An expert shares his insights. Enjoy the charms of autumn in Kimjae, North Jeolla Province. We'll show you a traditional twin dragon dance, and we take you to a torch festival that lights up the horizon. Live on this Thursday, October 10th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And a good Thursday morning. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today.
That's right. Thanks for joining us on this October 10th. It's 10/10. It's actually Pregnant Women's Day here in Korea, designated by the Health Ministry in the year 2005 in light of the low birth rate. And the number 10 refers to the number of months that a woman is pregnant for, 40 weeks to be exact.
Also, the month of October is known as the harvesting season, and it's known as a fruitful day or month as well. So I guess it is pretty appropriate to have Pregnant Women's Day on October 10th. And it's to all those pregnant mothers out there, good luck to you, and also thank you.
Right, be happy, especially today. It's, you deserve it. It's good for the baby as well.
All right, today's for you.
That's right. We'll begin Korea Today on this Thursday morning with a look at the day's headlines.
President Park Geun-hye, who's on the second leg of her Southeast Asian trip, took part in the 16th Korea-ASEAN Summit yesterday in Brunei. And here the president suggested setting up a new security dialogue between Korea and ASEAN. So for more, let's now connect to Arirang's presidential correspondent, Jinju, standing by in Brunei. So Jinju, could you tell us a bit more about the summit talks between President Park and the ASEAN leaders?
Well, President Park put great emphasis on the ASEAN region as a very important strategic partner throughout Tuesday's Korea-ASEAN Summit. The president is known to have put forth, quote, shared peace, prosperity, and progress as the three major pillars or goals in Korea-ASEAN relations, which represents an expansion from the original focus, which was mainly on economic cooperation. Korean Deputy Foreign Minister Lee Kyung-soo told reporters that the two sides had agreed to set up a Korea-ASEAN security dialogue at a deputy ministerial level, as first proposed by President Park. The first meeting is expected to take place sometime next year, and Korea would be the first individual country to hold such talks with ASEAN. Government officials in Seoul expect the dialogue to serve as an opportunity to discuss the North Korean issue regularly behind closed doors with Southeast Asian countries and secure support for its North Korea policy in the region. Korea and ASEAN also saw eye to eye on the need to upgrade its free trade agreement by the year 2015. The trade pact took effect back in 2009, and once it is upgraded as the two sides plan, bilateral trade volume is expected to more than double to $300 billion by 2025 from the current $130 billion. And to strengthen cooperation in the cultural sector, President Park pledged to increase the number of Korean cultural centers in the ASEAN region.
So why is ASEAN strategically important to Korea in particular?
Hyung-kyung, ASEAN has emerged as a so-called post-BRICS bloc and is expected to post 5.5% growth this year, which is nearly a percentage point jump from 2011. The economic bloc has become Korea's second-largest trade partner and the biggest market for Korean investment. And the Straits of Malacca, which is a stretch of water between the Malay Peninsula and Indonesia, connecting the Pacific Ocean with the Indian Ocean, is a key sea route for Korean exports and imports, including 90% of Korean oil imports. With major powers around the world, including the U.S., China, and Japan, all turning their attention to Southeast Asia, President Park is aiming to secure a strategic position in Korea's economic relationship with the region.
And her so-called sales diplomacy also continued on as well. Any new developments coming up from the sideline meetings?
President Park's bilateral summits with the leaders of Brunei, Singapore, Australia, and Myanmar yesterday focused on her push for sales diplomacy. In her talks with the Sultan of Brunei, Hassan al-Bolkiah, Wednesday morning, President Park called on the Bruneian government to support Korean companies seeking to participate in national infrastructure projects in that country. In particular, Brunei is pushing ahead with projects to build 3 major bridges in that nation. Later in the day, President Park met with Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott, where she expressed hopes that the two new governments can further strengthen their strategic cooperation. The two leaders agreed to work closely together in future industries involving resources and infrastructure. And in the bilateral summit with Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, the two sides saw eye to eye on the need to further develop their bilateral free trade agreement, which went into effect in 2006. Lastly, President Park held talks with Myanmar's President Thein Sein and agreed to work closely together to persuade North Korea to take the path of peace and change following the steps Myanmar took in the past towards reform and open-door policies.
All right, Jinju, thank you very much. It seems like a lot went on Wednesday. That was our presidential office correspondent, Jinju, reporting live for us from Brunei. And speaking of North Korea's First Lady Lee Seol-ju made a public appearance for the first time in nearly a month, just one day after South Korea's intelligence agency said it was aware that Lee's former fellow musicians have been executed in what experts see as the regime's attempt to quell the speculations. Pyongyang's state media also aired footage on Wednesday of the North's Eunhasu Orchestra performing. All of this comes weeks after reports were made about an open execution of some 10 members of the orchestra for making pornography, which allegedly involves the First Lady. Back here in South Korea, prosecutors continue to investigate the mystery behind the 2007 Inter-Korean Summit transcript. On Wednesday, a former Roh Moo-hyun administration official, Kim Kyung-soo, said the initial rough draft of the summit was erased because there was no point in keeping it, as the final copy would be transferred to the state archives. He also stressed that former President Roh did not give an order to delete any of the presidential records, however, said he does not know why the final transcript did not make it to the National Archives of Korea. The transcript in question has become a contentious issue ever since the ruling party claimed that back in 2007, President Roh conceded to Pyongyang by giving up the de facto maritime border in the West Sea. And on the economic front, the Bank of Korea will hold its monthly monetary policy meeting today amid wide expectations that it will hold its key interest rate steady at 2.5%. Now, market experts say the central bank for now is less pressured to change the key rate thanks to a moderate recovery in the local economy. Analysts also say because of the lingering external uncertainties, mostly stemming from the U.S. government shutdown and its plan to taper stimulus measures, the central bank is likely to keep its monetary policy as is for October. The BOK cut its key rate twice last year and once in May this year, but has kept it unchanged since then.
And good morning, everyone. We'll begin our news covered on the political front, as it is featured on the front page of Joseon Ilbo. We'll go ahead and take a look at this headline, which reads, "From outside its walls back to the National Assembly, Kim Han-gil pulls out his suit." 45 days is how long the main opposition Democratic Party has operated its makeshift headquarters in front of Seoul City Hall. But ahead of the opening of the parliamentary inquiry on Monday, its leader Kim Han-gil announced that the tents would mostly be dismantled starting today. Only one lawmaker will keep his or her presence there, while he will change out of his so-called homeless fashion of checkered shirts and pants back into a shirt and tie. to focus on the struggle within the National Assembly. He said this is what he found most of the people he spoke to wanted. And the struggle, meanwhile, outside of the assembly halls, he said, will continue with various civic organizations. Now, let's go ahead and leave that story there and head over to Gyeongyang Shinmun with a look at the front page image. On it, it shows a scene from yesterday's rally outside of the Financial Supervisory Service building in Yeouido, Seoul. The image title reads, "Dongyang investor lets out a painful cry for due compensation." The corresponding article on the inside pages report that some 2,000 holders of Dongyang corporate bonds participated in the protest, declaring that Dongyang Securities made fraudulent sales and that the financial regulator failed to intervene. The article said the unifying story of the victims was that they kept on hearing that the CPs were safe, denying the flurry of reports that the group was entering court receivership. Among the victims were the elderly who had invested their retirement savings, attracted by the high interest rates, and that it was a safe investment. One man in particular had put in all of his savings collected from farming all his life, his son regretting that his father had not grasped all of the intricacies of securities. A difficult story to watch indeed. Now, next to that image is the recurring front page story this morning. U.S. President Barack Obama tapped Vice Chairwoman Janet Yellen to succeed Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke and lead America's central bank. And with this nomination, the paper highlights that 3 of the world's top 5 financially influential posts would be filled by women. Yellen joining the ranks of IMF chief Christine Lagarde and German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Now, the story is treated as the top on our next paper as well. 동아일보's headline reading that Yellen would be the first U.S. Federal Reserve female chief. And let's go ahead and take a closer look at the story on our Economic Daily for today, the Korea Economic Daily. Its headline reads, "The world's economy rests on this woman's lips." And the article notes that the futures market were up following the news, reflecting a welcome posture from the markets. As vice chairman of the Fed, she has worked closely with Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke for the past 4 years. Thus, not a lot of change is anticipated with this passing of the baton. Now, prior to her post at the Fed, Yellen served as the president of the San Francisco Federal Reserve and a Fed governor during the Bill Clinton administration. Her policies tend to be more dovish compared to Bernanke's, which worked against her when she was considered for the top job 4 years ago, but is seen as a good fit now for the Obama administration, which is prioritizing economic recovery and full employment rates. Yellen will, of course, still need to go through a congressional approval process before she takes up her new post when Bernanke exits at the end of January. And with that, we'll wrap your look at what's in print on this Thursday. Next up are your closing numbers from Wednesday's market action.
Let's now get a check on the weather with our Lee Da-mi, who is joining us from Seongnam in Gyeonggi Province.
Okay, we'll get a look at what today has to offer. Tommy, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm reporting live from Seongnam, Gyeonggi Province. Now, here in the central regions, we will be seeing clear conditions throughout the day, but down south, it looks like it will be partly cloudy with some signs of scattered showers. As for the temperatures, it's 15 degrees Celsius right now, but later in the afternoon, it will get much warmer. So do keep in mind that there is a significant gap between our highs and lows, and try to dress accordingly. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the temperatures around Korea. Seoul, Daejeon, and Jeju will peak up to 26, Daegu, Gangneung, and Gwangju at 25, and Busan at 24 degrees. Tomorrow, here in the central regions, we'll start the morning off with signs of light showers that are expected to clear up by the afternoon, which will result in cooler weather. That's all I have for the forecast. I'll be back in the latter half.
And now let's go back to the meeting between President Park and the ASEAN leaders. To tell us more about some of the economic issues discussed at the meeting, at the APEC meeting, as well as the ASEAN summit, we have Professor Shin Sang-yup from Kyung University joining us in the studio. Thank you, Professor, for coming in today.
Good morning.
The ASEAN region now has become Korea's second largest trading partner. And just yesterday, the president proposed upgrading the bilateral Korea-ASEAN FTA to another level. So how much potential are we talking about here in terms of what ASEAN can offer to
Well,
Korea?
I think it's very, very huge. As you are pointed out, the ASEAN is the second largest second largest trading partner for Korea. So the trade volume between the two is about the $131 billion. And also, the ASEAN has been the destination where largest amount Korean foreign direct investment goes. So it is really important. And for the Korean construction company, ASEAN has been the second largest market. So at the moment, current economic relationship between Korea and ASEAN is very big. But during this trip, the President Park emphasized that both sides should make every effort to develop the relationship further. As you know very well, in 2010, the Korea and ASEAN developed the relationship to the upper grade, named the so-called the strategic partnership. And then during this visit, President Park emphasized that both sides should every effort to strengthen the relationship not only in the economic sector but also the political security as well as the social and cultural sector. This is the one thing we have to remember, and the other one is the ASEAN member countries has recorded very high economic growth rate. They recorded about 6.8% economic growth rate for the last 5 years. This is a little bit higher, much higher than the average growth rate of the world. Actually, during this period, the average growth rate was about 4%. So considering this point and the first point which I explained, the potential impact from developing the relationship between Korea and ASEAN will be very, very huge, I think.
And President Park has been putting a great emphasis on eliminating trade protectionism. And during the two-day APEC summit that took place earlier in the week, she did put a great emphasis on the so-called creative and innovative economy. So what would be some of the final details of that big picture, her initiative?
Well, I'll just try to explain very briefly and clearly. In Korea, in other developing countries, the government has very important role in achieving economic development. Well, particularly Korea. In Korea, the government officials such as EPB has played a very important role. But the creative economy means that more role of the private sector.
Right.
That private sector should take the initiatives, and the role of the government is just supporting their efforts. So I think the government just tried to buy the creativity from the private sector, and then the government just tried to help them to have more the creative, things they can realize. And so if I give an example, the president emphasized that if this private sector introduced very creative ideas, well, in the past, it was not very easy for them to realize it, the idea as a kind of project. But in the creative economy, once the private sector has some creative idea,
right,
the government tried to help the private sector in the form of providing some consulting or the tutoring, something like that. Help them to realize those ideas as a real project. By doing so, the government tried to achieve the economic development.
All right. So the issue of, and also another issue that's gaining attention is the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the multilateral framework. Now, what would be some of the benefits or concerns that Seoul would have if it is to join the TPP?
Well, I think that before answering your question, we have to think about what TPP is. Well, TPP, actually this idea was introduced by U.S.
Right, it's led by the U.S.
Yes. U.S. and then the TPP member countries produce about 38.2% the global GDP, so it's really huge. And they expected, projected the economic growth of the TPP member countries is about 4.2%. So this is also quite high. And the intra-traded the volume among member countries is about 41.8%. So I think it has quite the very significant economic impact on the global economy. So what I want to say is that if we do not join the TPP, not to join the PPP, maybe we will get some disadvantages. So I think we have to join the TPP. But one thing which I really concern is, well, according to the economic theory, well, when the member countries have the similar economic size, there are strong motivations for the membership of the economic integration. But in this case, among member countries, there are big economic gap existed. So I doubt whether this TPP can work very properly. So suppose that TPP works very efficiently. I think that by joining to TPP, I think we will be able to gain some the benefits in our trade. And then by having more trade, maybe we will be able to improve the welfare of the Korean people, and then also strengthen the market ratio in the global market.
So that we will still have to keep our eyes on whether Korea will officially make it official. Actually, and the President Park, she's also pushing ahead with her so-called sales diplomacy. Now, and she held numerous sideline meetings. And what would be the most notable one in your opinion so far?
Well, it's quite difficult, because during the 2 days, the 21st APEC summit, she had the summit meetings with 4 leaders. And during her visit to Southeast Asia, she met or she will meet another, 4 the leaders. And among these a series of the summit meetings, I think the meeting with the Vietnamese counterpart, I think it is very, very important, because that both leaders decide to finalize the talk for the Korea-Vietnam FTA. And at the moment, the trade volume between Korea and Vietnam is $20 billion. And by the 2020, we expect that trade volume will increase up to $70 billion. So I think that Vietnam is emerging as one of the main trading partners for Korea. But by having an FTA, certainly we will be able to increase, promote mutual trade. And also by having the negotiation, talk about how to promote mutual trade. And also the Vietnam has a very huge projects. They plan to build 10 units of the nuclear power plants.
Right, so in terms of construction, they have many projects going on.
And then Korean government, by the end of 2015, is scheduled to report on selecting the 2 places out of 5 suggested by the Vietnamese government for the construction of the nuclear power plants. If we successfully suggest the 2 places for the nuclear power plant, I think there will be no serious difficulties for us to take over that project. This is a very big project. And on the top of nuclear power project, there is another project, the fire power plants project.
Right.
So I think we had the President Park had the negotiation, talk about these 2 projects. So I think by having a successful negotiation and talk with her Vietnamese counterpart, I think we will gain huge economic benefits.
Right, and President Park still has a lot on her agenda coming up, but unfortunately we are out of time, so we'll leave it at that. But thank you very much, Professor Shin, for joining us today and sharing your insights.
Well, thanks for having me today.
And still ahead on Korea Today, the Korean alphabet Hangul has been dubbed scientific and easy to learn. It's become a popular subject for creative designs in typography and calligraphy. We take a look at how these letters are becoming part of daily products, clothes, and artwork.
The Pinoy Iskolars sa Korea, or in English, Filipino Scholars in Korea, is an NGO and an active student association serving Filipinos studying in Korea. Now, the organization is hoping to bridge their community and their host country. And joining us this morning are three members of PIKO, Eva Marie Wang,
Good morning.
Loren Lajano, and Liborberto Panta.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Your organization was established in 2006, and now it has grown to a three-member organization. Now, what are some of the activities, the main activities that you have?
Yes, our main activities is actually fostering intellectual and social exchanges between Filipino students here in Korea. For example, we have General Assembly and freshman orientation. In this kind of activities, we actually help the students in adjusting in Korean life while meeting fellow Filipinos. And we are also actually active in promoting Filipino culture to Korean public. In Children's Day, actually, we volunteered in Children's Museum because they have the called Discovery Box, wherein the items there are from the Philippines, and we actually introduced them to the children, Korean children. And we are also passionate in Korean Filipino, educating the Korean Filipino children here in Korea, the half Filipino and half Korean children.
In multicultural families.
Yes, multicultural children, and because we wanted for them to know their Filipino heritage as well.
Of course, to have their root, right? Now, this past weekend, PIKO held an event called Amazing Race. I believe this is an athletic event. Why choose an athletic event, a race, to promote your cause?
Usually when we hear cultural event, it's usually on the stage, dancing, singing, and the audience would be sitting back and watching from a distance. But we wanted to have a cultural event with a twist, which is running, very physical. We know young people have this energy to run around and interact with people. So we thought of organizing the event called Tarana, Finding the Philippines in Seoul. In Korean, what is it?
Soleso Pilipino Chatki.
That could be translated into Tarana.
Yes.
So simple, huh?
Okay. Tarana in Filipino means let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. So it's very
Okay, I'm jotting that
interactive.
down.
Tarana.
Okay.
Okay. It's running around Seoul, and we want them to know that there are different places in Seoul related to the Philippines. So for example, the participants were able to go to Department of Tourism, Philippine Department of Tourism in Uljiro. So in that station, they were able to have a task or a challenge about Philippine tourism, about the beaches, about different different tourism spots in Philippines.
It's such an interactive way too, right?
And in addition, actually, we had a similar event last August in Jeonjeon and Gwangju, and this one was in the form of a race as well. We taught multicultural Filipino-Korean kids about Filipino culture through a race. So similarly, we saw how effective it was in teaching the Filipino culture to them. The participants were able to see the not only the differences, but moreover the similarities between their own culture, Korean culture, and the culture of the other international participants, and Filipino culture. So I guess it would be, it was able to satisfy the role of PIKO in bridging the different cultures.
Let's now move on to something more serious. Now, what are some of the concerns and problems that you see within the Filipino community that you want to hopefully address one day?
As PIKO is already expanding, we begin to interact with more Filipino students. And we begin to realize that different concerns in terms of academics and social lives are not also unique. That's why we decided to organize a first international student dialogue with the Ministry of Education last year, May. In that particular event, we raised up different kinds of student issues concerning the internationalization in Korea. And we offered various policy recommendations.
Such as?
Such as, for example, in the health insurance, not all international students are knowledgeable about insurance. So we wanted to raise these kinds of issues so that it would be improved in the future. Actually, Korea is envisioning to have 200,000 international students by 2020.
Right.
So we wanted to kind of give our small contribution in improving this system.
Now, what are some of the projects that you're working on now that maybe some of our viewers who might be watching can take part in?
Yes, actually, we are really passionate about the Korean Filipino children as part of the multicultural families here in Korea. So next year, we're gonna have more activities related to them, especially in education plus having fun at the same time, because these are children. And in the long run, actually, we also wanted to educate the Korean public about the multiculturalism, such kind of projects.
And we want to reach out as well, in addition, to the other international students here in Korea to form a very healthy scholar environment here, so that the general Korean public will see as well that the international population here is very diverse and has lots of faces.
Well, good luck to all of you, and thank you for coming in this morning. And Tarana, right?
Tarana. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Maraming
very
salamat.
much.
Maraming salamat po.
Okay, and this is when we...
And it's 7:31 a.m. on Korea Today. We're going to go back to Lee Da-mi joining us from Seongnam in the Gyeonggi province at the Koica Global Village, where you can get an experience on cultural diversity. Tommy, over to you.
I'm back reporting live from the Korea International Cooperation Agency Global Village located in Seongnam, Gyeonggi province. Now, right now there is an exhibition going on called Urambara Blossom in the Global Village. This year's theme is to introduce 3 Southeast Asian countries that all are deeply rooted in Buddhism. So let's go ahead and see which countries they are. It's Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar, which is one of the member nations of ASEAN, where President Park Geun-hye is currently attending the ASEAN Summit Conference. Now, through this exhibition, you can really get a feel of the cultures, arts, and nature of the countries through the introduction of traditional clothing, instruments, and cuisine. So, for example, if you go ahead and take a look at my outfit, it's a part of the traditional clothing in Sri Lanka. Now, as we walk along, we do have a guest here this morning to tell us more about the program. So let's go ahead and meet with her. Good morning. Hi, so could you go ahead and tell us the meaning of this exhibition, Urambara, and what some of the experience programs that visitors can find?
Sure. Urambara is the mystical flower in Buddhism. It refers to the utopian world with universal happiness. The Koica Global Village provides free docent tour, educational hands-on programs, and optional culinary experiences which include food tasting and cooking classes.
Wow, that sounds exciting. Now, I heard this morning you actually have some cuisine out here for us right now, right? So can we go ahead and take a look? Wow. It smells so good. So right now what we're looking at is curry. This is food that you can find in Nepal, curry and the dumplings. And they have so much more programs here that you can find. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Now, here at the Koica Global Village, I had such a fun time and a great time learning and experiencing the different cultures of the countries. If you'd like to experience it for yourself, then make sure to check their website and make reservations first before visiting. That's all I have for now. I'm Lee Da-mi, Korea Today.
Now, Hangul is the Korean alphabet, and it's been making regular appearances in Hollywood blockbuster films simply because it looks cool, as a matter of fact. Yesterday was Hangul Day, and today we'll be showing you some designs that involve Hangul.
That's right. Hangul has 19 consonants and 21 vowels, and all of those letters have unique designs, unique shapes that could be used as artsy designs, and we'll look at some in this report.
Hangul, the Korean alphabet, is no longer just characters and letters used in the Korean language. Hangul, or the Korean alphabet, has now become a creative piece of art design, as these characters are not only featured in paintings and formative arts, but are also widely used to design various everyday items. Recently, Hangul designs have become a popular choice in many practical fashion products. This shop in Insadong, run by designer Lee Gun-man, sells all kinds of goods decorated with Hangul monograms.
Hangul is a great element to use in design because the letters are not just simply aligned, but they can be placed under or on top of each other. And so I think Hangul can be more diversely and effectively used compared to other languages as beautiful designs.
Designer Yi highlighted Hangul's formative characteristics to create contemporary designs and embedded them on various items like neckties, scarves, handbags, and wallets.
At first, I just looked at the items because their shapes are unique, but after realizing they're made of Hangul designs, I like them even more and they appear even more eye-catching.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. I mean, I think it's lovely because it's so important to the Korean culture is, the Hangul language is and beautiful to replicate it in a scarf or this. I think it's a beautiful idea.
The biggest selling point of the Hangul design products sold here is that even foreigners can easily and naturally come across Korean letters through these practical Hangul designs. This is designer Lee Gun-man's research center where these various Hangul design products are born. Here, all kinds of new Hangul designed goods are constantly put out. Designer Yi thinks the Hangul monogram is a luxury design worthy enough to represent Korea, since the alphabet letters all portray structural and natural beauty. After researching and producing creative and sophisticated Hangul designed items, designer Yi's brand made it into different domestic department stores and airport duty-free shops. And in February 2011, his goods also entered the Tobu department store in Japan. Hangul is not only used as practical design elements in fashion, but has also received a lot of attention as a sophisticated form of art. The Seoul International Typography Biennale is being held at the former Seoul Station, now transformed into Culture Station Seoul 284. Typography is the art of typeface designs instead of handwritten words. And at this event, typographic pieces by different artists from around the world were put on display.
This Biennale is the world's only typography exhibition. We are proud that Korea is able to host such an event, especially since we are a country that uses our distinct Korean alphabet, Hangul.
All sorts of creative and unusual typographies caught the eyes and attention of many. Visitors continue to visit the Biennale to enjoy the unique pieces. At this exhibition, visitors are especially impressed with the Hangul typography designs featured as traditional yet sophisticated works of art.
Compared to other pieces, for me, the Hangul works caught my attention the most, and I was once again taken aback at how beautiful Hangul characters are.
I was happy to see various Hangul design artworks that positively highlighted the unique artistic points of our characters.
Along with typography designer An Sam-yeol's one-of-a-kind digital Hangul design, many other Korean artists' pieces have become the center of attention. And among all the impressive pieces, artist Lee Ho's distinctive work of the season of ripening green grapes at the entrance of the Biennale is particularly captivating. This project, inspired by poet Lee Yuk-sa's poem Green Grapes, is a portrayal of Hangul typefaces by using building materials.
To Koreans, Hangul is crucial and necessary like salt and air. I think Hangul typography is a fantastic example of how the Korean alphabet can be freshly transformed into diverse and unique works of art.
Here's another case where Hangul has become redefined as an artistic and practical artwork by a global fashion designer who has successfully combined Hangul designs with fashion with famous calligraphy. He is designer Lee Sang-bong. To celebrate Hangul Day, officially becoming a national holiday in Korea once again, Lee Sang-bong held a fashion show in the city of Cheongju, North Chungcheong Province this Tuesday, October 8th. Designer Lee has been the leader in promoting the profound beauty of Hangul through his Korean calligraphy fashion designs. By highlighting both traditional and contemporary aspects of Hangul through elaborate designs, designer Lee was able to spread the captivating artistry of Hangul designs to the global fashion world, and now many are acknowledging its unique creativity and style.
When I first told people I was going to incorporate Hangul into fashion designs, no one thought I could succeed. Instead, they expressed their concerns. But I believe that even after 100 years, Hangul's beauty can continue to spread throughout the world. I want to continue to work and produce practical Hangul designs that help people understand and see the true charm of the Korean alphabet.
Just the Korean alphabet, but a much loved and recognized design found in our daily lives. And the use for these designs is expected to grow by the day.
And still ahead, it's known for its vast horizon not commonly seen in Korea. We take a trip to the land of abundance to catch up with a traditional dance, go grasshopper catching, and light up the sky with a torch festival. Get a taste of kimje with Shay My Nikki. Stay tuned.
All right, it's time to play ball as we kick things off with Game 2 of the first round of the 2013 KBO playoffs between the Tusan Bears and the Nexon Heroes. After a dramatic walk-off win in Game 1, Nexon looked to take a 2-0 series lead on Wednesday. Of course, going into Game 2 here, Yoo Hee-kwan taking the mound for the Tusan Bears and Andy Van Hacken for the Nexon Heroes, and both starting pitchers throwing blanks across the board. But we go over to the 8th inning of the game. Oh Jae-il to pinch hit, grounds out here, scoring Hug Young-min from third, and it's 1-0 Tusan Bears. Go over to the bottom of the inning, Hong Sang-sam on the mound, and a wild pitch scores Hug Chang, and it's tied 1-1. We shift over to the 9th inning of the game. Here is Chung Soo-bin, bunts to the pitcher here, but check this out, a wild throw to first, scores Lee Jung-wook, and the Tusan Bears now take the lead 2-1. Bottom of the inning, bases loaded for Seung-gun Chang, draws the walk here, and it's tied 2-2. Bottom of the 10th inning, Kim Ji-soo at bat, and there it is, another walk-off win for the Nexon Heroes as they take this game 3-2 and a 2-0 series lead. And staying in the sport, but over to the majors where Choo Shin-soo is set to hit free agency, of course, now that his season is over. But the big question is, who's going to sign him and who's got the money? Well, sources say that the two teams aggressively going after the center fielder are the New York Mets and the Cincinnati Reds. However, with agent Scott Boras on Choo's side, his price might range between $90 to $100 million over a period of 5 to 6 years. The Mets are seeking a price tag of roughly $48 million over 4 years, while the Cincinnati Reds are rumored to trade their all-star second baseman Brandon Phillips in order to go after Choo. Now, Choo Shin-soo is coming off of a career year after hitting .285 with 21 home runs and 107 runs scored and 20 stolen bases to go with that. And now moving on to some Wednesday's K-League Classic action. The Pohang Steelers drew 0-0 against the Busan I-Park Daegu FC over Jeonnam Dragons 2-1. Gyeongnam FC beats Daejeon 1-0. Jeju United and Gangwon FC drew 1-1. And Jeonbuk beat Ulsan 1-0. So with that said, let's take a look at the highlights from the super match. FC Seoul taking on the Suwon Samsung Blue Wings. Of course, shifting over to the game here, we check out Suwon in the first half of the match, looking very aggressive with FC Seoul's defense just barely holding on. But a scoreless first half for both sides as the second half kicks off. And in the 58th minute of the match, here is Santos for the first goal of the match, and Suwon takes a 1-0 lead. We shift over to the 82nd minute. Check this one out. It is North Korean Wayne Rooney Chung Dae-se sends one past the goalkeeper, and it's now 2-0. FC Seoul's offense nowhere to be seen in this match as Suwon holds on to win this match 2-0. And with all that said, it's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
You mentioned earlier that fall is the season of harvest, and there's a special area that's filled with farmland and untouched by city aspects.
That's right. It's Kimjae in North Jeolla Province, and we're going to take you there with our reporter, Shae Nikki, who has taken a trip down there, right?
Yes, I got to experience I went to Kimjae, North Jeolla Province, and got to experience the Horizon Festival, which was an incredible time. I had a lot of fun there. I did a lot of things. There's a lot of things to do, and everything that I was able to do was really cool, but there was a lot more stuff to do as well. I got to experience the grasshopper, like catching grasshoppers, and then got to also do the Torch Festival, which was really fun. And my funnest thing was getting married. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Newlywed.
And all of this is in the report, I believe.
Yes, this
right?
will all be in the video.
All right, so let's go to the report right now.
The city of Kimjae in North Jeolla Province is known as the main breadbasket of Korea, and it's also the only area with vast plains where visitors can actually see the horizon. As the region is home to Korea's ancient Pyeokgyeolje Reservoir, Kimjae has also been considered North Jeolla Province's main agricultural area. This city, home to lush farmlands, is hosting its annual Kimjae Horizon Festival. I'm at the 15th annual Kimjae Jipyeong-sung Festival. There's a lot of noise, a lot of excitement in the area, lots of percussions. The drums are beating very loudly. We have lots of people dancing over here. The festival, taking place by the Pyeokgyeolje Reservoir, has become a popular traditional Korean farming experience event, attracting many visitors. The festival signals its exciting opening with traditional Korean outdoor performances, and already many visitors have gathered around. I wonder what other fun and special sights I'll see here today.
앞에 구경하고 있는 그 외국인 총각.
All of a sudden, I have been transformed into a groom wearing a traditional Korean wedding outfit.
Where's my bride? 신부. 자, 신부 나오도록 하겠습니다.
Finally, my older bride reveals herself.
Oh my gosh.
From the bride and groom bows and sharing drinks for harmony, I was able to learn and experience the traditional Korean wedding firsthand. Last but not least, I tried to give my new bride a piggyback ride.
This is my bride.
But the crowd got a good laugh when I accidentally dropped my new bride and she falls straight on the ground. After the traditional Korean wedding, we make our way to our next destination.
Oh my, wow. Look at this incredible, huge dragon.
The Pyeokgyeolje double dragon piece shows two dragons that are ascending to the heavens. This grand sculpture made out of tens of thousands of intertwined bamboo sticks is 15 meters tall and 54 meters long. The entire body, I mean, maybe that's like 20 people, 20 of me on top. So just very mesmerizing, very awesome. The dignity of these majestic double dragons is being passed down in a folk play.
Dragon! Dragon! Real dragon! Wow!
Kimjae's representative folk game Pyeokgyeolje Double Dragon Play is based on a story of a double dragon and young maiden Danya who guarded Pyeokgyeolje for abundant harvest and harmony among its peoples. Two different colored dragons, why one blue, one white?
제 방을 부수려는 용은 나쁜 용은 청룡이고요. 백룡은 이제 그 수호용이에요. 벽골제를 지켜주는.
The Double Dragon Play is especially popular as spectators can all take part in the folk performance. After the fun-filled day, I walk past the Cosmos to get here, where there's already a lot of people.
What do I do with this? Yeah.
Wow!
I'm grasshopper.
I got it!
I decide to take on the grasshopper challenge and get busy searching for them in these golden fields. It's full of adults who have gone back to their childhood and kids enjoying hide and seek in nature to find grasshoppers. How many do you have? 3?
2.
Oh, 2? Do you have any? Children seem to be good at catching grasshoppers, but I'm not very good at it. Oh! I caught one! I finally caught one! It is a breathtaking experience in nature. The hours quickly go by while I'm having fun, and soon it becomes nighttime. There are so many people here, I don't know why. But the darkness cannot cool off the festival's vibrant energy. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 이거 뭐예요?
횃불놀이.
Torch? Ah, torch fest.
같이 여기 할래요?
같이, yeah. With the start of lighting torches on Pyeokgyeol-jae, which is the highlight of this Horizon Festival, the atmosphere becomes even more fired up. People from different regions, religions, and countries all take part in lighting the torches, and 2,333 of these brightly illuminate the autumn sky. The torch parade is a grandeur spectacle not to be missed since Gimjae residents and festival visitors come together to take part in that moment. Power! Whoa! This is my friend. We just met, and we're excited about everything. This is your first time doing this?
Yeah, first time.
Yeah.
It's great. This is a really fun time. There's so many people. It's like nothing I've ever seen in Korea. It's a great time.
And finally, the fireworks begin. The grand finale of spectacular fireworks blindingly light up the skies, signaling an end to my Gimjae journey. Oh, we have had a very long day, but a very fun-filled day. My favorite event today was the Torch Festival. Thousands of people with torches, incredible scene. The whole sky was lit up, and then on top of that, they lit the sky up with fireworks. Just incredible, outstanding performance. This beautiful fall season, head down to the home of the Golden Horizon Gimjae, filled with traditional Korean agricultural experiences to make precious memories.
First of all, congratulations on your wedding.
Thank you.
Second of all, is she all right? Is your wife all
Yes,
right?
I'm tending to her, so she's fine.
So you can take part in these, I guess, ceremonies, huh?
Yeah. There's like I said, there's tons of things to do, and my favorite part was actually getting married. So I don't know if I'll get married again, but it was my
You're only supposed to do it once. I didn't take you as a guy that's into mature women, but congratulations.
Well, that's why you marry an older lady. But anyways, this is like one of the most popular festivals. Like I said, when I was there were a ton of people there. I think for 8 years in a row, it's been voted as the most popular festival by the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. So very popular festival, lots of people in attendance, and which really makes it a lot more fun. So.
When you said the festival ended, you're such a teaser.
It has actually already ended, but if you go down to the area, there's lots of folk games that you can attend. There's a lot of agricultural performances that you can also see and visit. So if you mark your calendars, there's tons of things to do down there.
All right, so maybe not this year, but next year we will definitely
go
to the festival.
And throughout the year too, so.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you went on a day trip, right? What if you wanted to go on a 1-night, 2-day excursion? What about the accommodations? Are there other places to stay other than just your regular average old motels and hotels?
Yeah, there's quite a few stay programs that they have there. There's a temple to stay program, which I was not able to partake in, but I heard that was pretty cool. And that is actually called the Gumsansa Temple. And in addition to that, there's a Korean Korean traditional schoolhouse, which you can learn about the old Korean scholar ways. So lots of different places to stay at, so you can stay over the night. And again, mark your calendars, head on over there. You have a place to stay, so enjoy your time.
All right, sounds like the whole package there.
Yeah, you can do anything you want down there.
So too bad you're already married. You can't take part in this ceremony.
Darn.
All right, well, thank you, Shay, for that report.
Oh, no problem. I had fun. Good time.
All right, that's all we have prepared for you on this Thursday morning.
Okay, and it's already Friday tomorrow, believe it or not. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.